You know, one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the gift of solitude. Now, when I say solitude, I'm not talking about being lonely, disconnected, or isolated from the world. I'm talking about intentional time where you are with yourself, for yourself. When you embrace solitude, you are gifting yourself one of the most valuable experiences, the chance for deep self-discovery. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with noise from social media, the opinions of others, and the hustle and bustle of everyday life, it's incredibly easy to lose touch with who we really are. Most of us go through life without ever truly getting to know ourselves. We follow the crowd, we adopt beliefs that are handed to us, and we make decisions based on what's expected of us, rather than what we genuinely want. Being alone strips away all of that. It's in those quiet moments of solitude where you finally have the space to listen to yourself. When you're not surrounded by people telling you who you should be, you begin to ask the most important questions. What do I actually want in life? What is meaningful to me? What brings me joy and what doesn't serve me anymore? These are questions we rarely stop to ask, but they are fundamental to living an authentic, fulfilling life. You begin to see yourself clearly. You're no longer performing for anyone else. There's no need to impress or fit in. It's just you, raw, real, and unfiltered. This can feel uncomfortable at first because we often hide behind the masks we wear in front of others. We play different roles at work, with friends, in relationships, and sometimes we get so used to those roles that we forget who we really are underneath it all. But solitude gives you the chance to remove those layers. It allows you to face yourself in ways you might have been avoiding. You get to see your strengths, but also your vulnerabilities, your fears, and the things you've been pushing aside. And in that process, you start to understand yourself better. You begin to realize that you don't need to be perfect, and you don't need anyone else's approval to feel worthy. You, as you are enough. This is the power of self-discovery. It's not just about finding out what you want to do in life, it's about learning who you are at your core. And when you understand yourself, everything else starts to fall into place. You become clearer about your goals, your values, and the kind of life you want to lead. You stop making decisions out of fear or a need for validation. Instead, you start making choices that align with your true self. And that's when life starts to feel more fulfilling. Solitude also gives you the chance to reflect on your past experiences, both good and bad. In the busyness of life, we often move from one thing to the next without ever stopping to process what we've been through. But when you're alone, you have the space to do that. You can look back on your life with fresh eyes, and you begin to understand the patterns, the lessons, and the reasons behind why certain things happened the way they did. This reflection is crucial because it helps you grow. It allows you to learn from your past so that you don't repeat the same mistakes in the future. Another powerful aspect of solitude is that it helps you reconnect with your intuition. In the noise of everyday life, it's easy to lose touch with that inner voice, the one that guides you, warns you, and nudges you toward what's right for you. We often silence our intuition because we're too busy listening to the opinions of others or chasing after what society tells us we should want. But in solitude, that voice grows louder. You start to trust your gut again. You become more in tune with what feels right and what doesn't. And when you begin to listen to that inner voice, it leads you to choices and paths that are in alignment with your true self. Solitude is also a time to cultivate a deeper relationship with yourself. Many of us go through life seeking relationships with others, whether it's friendships, romantic partners, or colleagues, thinking that these connections will make us feel whole. And while relationships with others are important, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. When you're alone, you have the opportunity to nurture that relationship. You learn how to enjoy your own company, how to be at peace with who you are, and how to love yourself without needing external validation. This is what true self-discovery looks like. It's not about finding a version of yourself that fits into the world's mold. It's about uncovering the person you've always been underneath the expectations, the labels, and the pressures. It's about reconnecting with your authentic self and realizing that who you are, as you are, is more than enough. And when you reach that place of deep self-awareness, everything else, your relationships, your career, your goals, starts to align with the real you. You stop living for others and start living for yourself, and that is the ultimate freedom. When you spend time alone, you are building a kind of inner strength that can only be developed in solitude. In the presence of others, it's easy to lean on external sources for validation, support, or reassurance. We often look to others to confirm that we're making the right decisions or to give us a sense of worth. But when you're by yourself, you are forced to rely on your own strength. There is no one else to boost your confidence or tell you what to do. You have to trust yourself, your instincts, and your abilities. This is where true resilience is built. Being alone teaches you to stand on your own 2 feet, emotionally and mentally. In solitude, you realize that you don't need anyone else to complete you. You are whole, capable, and enough all on your own. This realization is incredibly empowering. It shifts your mindset from dependency to independence. You stop looking outward for approval or support and start looking inward, realizing that you have everything you need within yourself. This process of building inner strength isn't always easy. In fact, it can be uncomfortable, especially if you're used to being surrounded by others. There's a certain vulnerability that comes with being alone. Without the distractions or noise of others, you are left to face your thoughts, fears, and insecurities head on. This can be unsettling at first, but it's in this discomfort that growth happens. When you push through the unease and learn to sit with yourself, you become stronger, more self-reliant, and more confident in your ability to handle whatever life throws your way. Solitude forces you to develop emotional independence. In relationships, we often rely on others to make us feel good, to lift us up when we're down, or to provide comfort when we're struggling. But what happens when those people aren't there? What happens when you're alone in your pain or uncertainty? This is where emotional independence becomes essential. Being alone teaches you how to self-soothe, how to manage your emotions without relying on someone else to do it for you. You learn how to pick yourself up when you're feeling low, how to navigate difficult emotions, and how to find peace within yourself. This kind of strength is invaluable because it prepares you for the inevitable ups and downs of life. When you build emotional resilience, you're better equipped to handle challenges, setbacks, and disappointments. You don't fall apart when things don't go your way because you've developed the inner tools to cope. You've learned how to rely on yourself for comfort and strength rather than seeking it from external sources. Solitude also strengthens your mental toughness. In the fast-paced world we live in, it's easy to become mentally drained by constant stimulation, social interactions, and the pressure to perform. But when you take time to be alone, you give your mind the space it needs to rest, recharge, and recalibrate. This period of mental rest allows you to strengthen your focus, discipline, and resilience. You become more capable of pushing through mental challenges because you've developed the habit of relying on your own mental fortitude rather than needing constant external motivation or distraction. This inner strength you cultivate in solitude isn't just about surviving tough times, it's about thriving in them. When you build emotional and mental resilience, you become less reactive to the world around you. You're not easily swayed by the opinions, judgments, or expectations of others. You know who you are, and you trust yourself to make the right decisions, even when those decisions are difficult or unpopular. This is one of the most powerful benefits of solitude. It gives you the strength to stay true to yourself, even in the face of external pressure. When you spend time alone, you also develop a sense of personal accountability. There's no one else to blame or credit for your actions. You are responsible for your own choices and outcomes. This sense of accountability further strengthens your character. You begin to take ownership of your life, realizing that your happiness, success, and well-being are in your hands. You stop waiting for someone else to solve your problems or make you feel better, and instead, you take proactive steps to improve your life. As you continue to build inner strength in solitude, you also develop a sense of self-reliance that extends beyond the emotional and mental realms. You become more resourceful, learning how to solve problems on your own, make decisions without second-guessing yourself, and take care of your needs. This self-reliance isn't about cutting yourself off from others or refusing help. It's about knowing that at the end of the day, you are fully capable of handling whatever comes your way. The strength you build in solitude becomes a foundation for everything else in your life. It prepares you to face challenges with grace, to maintain your composure under pressure, and to stand firm in your values and beliefs, even when they're tested. This kind of inner strength doesn't just make you resilient, it makes you unstoppable. You no longer fear being alone because you've experienced the power and peace that come from relying on yourself. You know that you can face anything, not because you have someone else by your side, but because you have yourself. And when you've cultivated this kind of inner strength, it changes how you show up in the world. You stop seeking validation or approval from others. You become more confident, more secure in who you are. This strength radiates outward, affecting how you interact with others and how you approach life's challenges. You are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances or people. You are grounded in your own power, and that power comes from within. In the fast-paced world we live in, clarity is often elusive. We're constantly bombarded with information, expectations, and distractions from every angle: social media, work demands, personal relationships, all of which can cloud our judgment and keep us from truly seeing what matters. When you're always surrounded by people or absorbed in the noise of daily life, it's difficult to step back and gain a clear perspective on your own thoughts, emotions, and direction. Solitude provides that much needed space for reflection, where you can step away from the chaos and reconnect with your inner self. One of the greatest gifts of solitude is the ability to reflect deeply on your life without external interference. You're not trying to keep up with anyone else's pace, meet someone's expectations, or worry about how you're being perceived. This is your time to think clearly, to pause and ask yourself, am I where I want to be? Am I living in alignment with my values? In solitude, you have the freedom to be completely honest with yourself, which is where true clarity begins. You begin to see your life, your relationships, and your choices for what they are, not through the lens of societal pressures or the opinions of others. It's during these reflective moments that you start to recognize patterns, whether they're helpful or harmful. Maybe you notice that you've been saying yes to too many things that don't serve your best interests. Perhaps you see that certain relationships are draining your energy rather than lifting you up. Or maybe you realize that the career path you've been on for years isn't actually fulfilling you anymore. These are the kinds of insights that are often overlooked in the rush of everyday life, but become crystal clear when you take the time to be alone and reflect. Solitude allows you to strip away the unnecessary and focus on what truly matters. It helps you declutter your mind, removing distractions and noise so that you can hear your own voice more clearly. In doing so, you start to prioritize what's most important to you, whether that's your health, your personal growth, your relationships, or your life goals. You begin to differentiate between what's essential and what's simply noise, and this is where real clarity is born. It's not that you suddenly have all the answers, but you start to see the bigger picture of your life more clearly, without all the distractions that normally blur your vision. When you create space for reflection, you also give yourself the chance to revisit your goals and aspirations. Sometimes, in the midst of everyday busyness, we lose sight of our original intentions. We get caught up in what needs to be done today, tomorrow, or next week, and we forget about the long-term vision we have for ourselves. Solitude provides the breathing room needed to reassess where you're headed. Are your actions aligning with your goals? Are you still passionate about the things that once excited you, or have your priorities shifted? This time for reflection is critical because it allows you to adjust your course if needed, ensuring that you're not just going through the motions, but actively moving toward the life you want. In addition to providing clarity about your own path, solitude also helps you gain perspective on the relationships in your life. When you're constantly surrounded by others, it can be hard to see relationships clearly. Emotions, obligations, and social expectations often cloud our judgment. But in solitude, you can step back and evaluate your relationships more objectively. Are the people in your life supporting your growth, or are they holding you back? Are you surrounding yourself with positivity and encouragement, or are you allowing toxic influences to drain your energy? Solitude gives you the opportunity to reflect on these questions without the pressure of immediate social interaction, allowing you to make more thoughtful decisions about the people you keep close. Solitude provides clarity on your emotional state. Often we're so busy that we don't even realize how we're feeling. We push aside emotions, pretending they're not there because we don't have time to deal with them. But those emotions don't disappear, they linger beneath the surface, affecting our mood, behavior, and decisions. In solitude, you have the space to confront these emotions head on. You can sit with them, understand them, and process them in a way that brings relief and resolution. Whether it's grief, anger, joy, or uncertainty, giving yourself the time to fully experience and understand your emotions allows you to move forward with greater emotional clarity and balance. Another powerful aspect of solitude is the mental clarity it brings. When we're constantly multitasking or trying to keep up with the demands of life, our minds can become cluttered. Thoughts race, anxiety builds, and it becomes harder to focus. In solitude, however, you create space for mental calm. Without the constant input from the outside world, your mind can slow down, and in that stillness, your thoughts can become more organized. This mental decluttering process is essential for problem solving and decision making. When your mind is clear, you can think more logically, make better choices, and approach challenges with a calm and composed mindset. Solitude is also a time for creative reflection. Many of the world's greatest ideas, innovations, and artistic works have come from moments of solitude, where people were free from distractions and able to let their minds wander. Creativity often requires time to think deeply, to daydream, and to explore new ideas without interruption. When you give yourself the space to reflect, you allow your creativity to flourish. You're not weighed down by the opinions or expectations of others. You're free to imagine, create, and innovate in a way that's uniquely yours. Solitude and reflection go hand in hand. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the next task, the next conversation, the next goal. But without taking the time to reflect, we can lose sight of who we are and what we truly want. Solitude provides that space to pause, to think deeply, and to gain the clarity we need to live more purposefully. It's in those quiet moments that we reconnect with ourselves, and from that connection comes the clarity to move forward with confidence and intention. Solitude offers a powerful opportunity to focus on personal growth in ways that might not be possible when you're constantly surrounded by others. Often, the demands of social interactions, work commitments, and everyday responsibilities can take over, leaving little room to focus on your own development. But in solitude, all those distractions fall away, and you're left with the space to invest in yourself, whether that's through learning new skills, developing a deeper understanding of your strengths and weaknesses, or working on becoming the best version of yourself. One of the key aspects of personal growth is self-reflection, and solitude provides the perfect environment for it. When you're alone, you can take the time to reflect on your life, your choices, your habits, and your behaviors. Are you happy with where you are? Are you living in alignment with your values? These are important questions that can be difficult to answer in the midst of daily life. Solitude gives you the breathing room to examine these areas of your life more closely, and it's through this reflection that real growth happens. By identifying areas where you want to improve or change, you can start to create a roadmap for your personal development. Solitude also allows you to take ownership of your growth. When you're alone, there's no one else to blame or rely on. You're accountable to yourself. This accountability is incredibly empowering because it forces you to take responsibility for your life. If there's something you want to change or achieve, it's up to you to make it happen. Solitude strips away the external excuses and pushes you to rely on your inner resources. This kind of self-reliance is crucial for personal growth because it teaches you that you have the power to shape your own life, and that growth is something you actively pursue, not something that happens passively. Solitude provides the perfect opportunity to focus on skill building. Whether it's learning a new hobby, improving your health, or studying something that will advance your career, solitude gives you the time and space to fully dedicate yourself to personal development. Without the usual distractions, you can immerse yourself in the learning process, practice consistently, and track your progress. This dedicated time for self-improvement can lead to incredible results because you're able to focus with a clear mind and without interruptions. In addition to skill building, Solitude is also a time to cultivate mental and emotional growth. When you're alone, you have the opportunity to dig deep into your thoughts and emotions. This isn't always easy. It can be uncomfortable to confront your inner world without the distraction of others. However, this kind of introspection is essential for personal growth. By examining your thoughts and feelings, you can begin to understand the root causes of certain behaviors or patterns in your life. Why do you react in certain ways? What fears or insecurities are holding you back? What limiting beliefs are preventing you from reaching your full potential? These are questions that often go unanswered when we're constantly surrounded by distractions. But solitude gives you the space to explore them and gain valuable insights. Emotional growth is a key part of personal development, and solitude is a powerful tool in helping you achieve it. Without the influence of others, you can fully process your emotions and develop a deeper sense of emotional intelligence. This means understanding your feelings, learning how to manage them, and recognizing how they impact your actions and decisions. It also means developing greater empathy for yourself, which is a crucial part of growth. Often we are so hard on ourselves, constantly criticizing or judging our perceived shortcomings. But in solitude, you have the chance to show yourself compassion and grace. This self-compassion is what allows you to grow without the weight of self-criticism holding you back. Another important aspect of personal growth that solitude nurtures is creativity. When you're alone, your mind has the freedom to wander, to imagine new possibilities, and to explore ideas that may not come to you in the busyness of daily life. Many of the world's greatest thinkers, artists, and innovators have credited solitude as the space where their most profound ideas were born. When you're not constantly reacting to the demands of others, you can tap into your creative potential and think in new and expansive ways. Whether you're writing, painting, solving problems, or simply brainstorming, solitude allows you to approach your work with a fresh, undistracted perspective. Creativity flourishes when you have the time to think deeply and explore your ideas without interruption. Solitude also fosters spiritual growth. This doesn't necessarily mean religious growth, but rather a deeper connection with yourself and a greater sense of purpose in life. When you're alone, you have the opportunity to contemplate the bigger questions in life. Why am I here? What is my purpose? What do I want my legacy to be? These are questions that require quiet reflection, and solitude provides the perfect environment to explore them. This process of spiritual growth allows you to connect with a sense of inner peace and purpose that can guide you in every aspect of your life. Solitude strengthens your resilience, which is another critical component of personal growth. When you're alone, you're forced to rely on your own strength and problem-solving abilities. There's no one else to lean on, so you learn to trust yourself and your capacity to handle whatever challenges come your way. This builds resilience because it teaches you that you can face difficulties on your own and come out stronger on the other side. The more you practice this in solitude, the more resilient you become in every aspect of your life. You stop doubting your ability to navigate challenges and start trusting in your inner strength. Solitude offers you the time to set goals for your future. When you're not distracted by the noise of daily life, you can take the time to think about what you really want. What are your long-term goals? What kind of person do you want to become? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Solitude allows you to reflect on these important questions and create a clear vision for your future. Once you have this clarity, you can set concrete goals and take actionable steps toward achieving them. This kind of intentional growth is only possible when you have the time and space to reflect deeply on your life. In solitude, personal growth isn't just a possibility, it's inevitable. When you remove the distractions of the outside world and focus inward, you create the perfect environment for self-reflection, skill building, emotional development, and spiritual connection. It's in these moments of quiet reflection that you grow the most, becoming a stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled version of yourself. Solitude provides a rare and invaluable opportunity to listen to your intuition, that inner voice that often gets drowned out by the constant noise and busyness of everyday life. When you're always surrounded by people, tasks, and distractions, it can be difficult to hear what your heart and mind are truly telling you. We often become so focused on meeting external expectations or fulfilling obligations that we lose touch with our own desires, needs, and instincts. Solitude creates the necessary space for you to quiet the outside world and tune into your own inner guidance. Intuition is that feeling you get deep inside when you know something without needing to explain why. It's an inner wisdom that often guides us toward the right path, even when the logical mind can't quite make sense of it. However, to hear this voice clearly, you need stillness. Constant activity, endless social interaction, and the fast pace of life can make it easy to overlook the subtle nudges of intuition. But when you're alone, away from the noise, your inner voice has the space to speak, and you have the time to listen. When you allow yourself time in solitude, you can focus on your thoughts, feelings, and gut reactions without the influence of others. You can sift through your emotions and uncover the deeper meaning behind them. Maybe you've been feeling restless or unsatisfied, but you couldn't quite pinpoint why. In the quiet of solitude, you can explore these feelings more deeply and understand their origins. You begin to realize that your intuition has been trying to tell you something all along, but you were too busy to hear it. Solitude not only allows you to hear your intuition, but it also helps you to trust it. In our society, we're often taught to rely on logic, reason, and the opinions of others when making decisions. We look for facts, data, or validation before we take action. But intuition doesn't always work like that. It's not about clear evidence or logical steps. It's about trusting that inner feeling, even when it doesn't fully make sense on the surface. When you spend time alone, you strengthen your relationship with yourself, and in turn, you build trust in your own instincts. This is especially important when it comes to making life decisions. Whether it's about your career, relationships, or personal goals, your intuition often knows the right answer long before your mind can analyze it. However, when you're constantly receiving input from others, friends, family, colleagues, it can be easy to second-guess yourself. You might wonder if you're making the right choice or if you're being overly cautious or impulsive. In solitude, without the external opinions clouding your judgment, you can focus solely on what feels right for you. You can tune into your gut feeling, weigh it against your personal values, and make decisions with a sense of confidence that comes from within. You also give yourself the chance to explore creative solutions to challenges. Intuition isn't just about knowing when something feels right. It's also about tapping into that well of creativity and problem solving that resides deep within you. When you step away from the chaos of everyday life, your mind has the freedom to wander, to make connections that it might not have made otherwise. This is when some of your best ideas can emerge. You might find that the solution to a problem you've been struggling with for weeks suddenly becomes clear when you're alone and listening to your inner voice. Another benefit of solitude is that it helps you recognize when your intuition is trying to warn you. Often we push aside our gut feelings, especially when they're telling us something we don't want to hear. Maybe you've been in a situation that doesn't feel quite right, whether it's a job, a relationship, or a decision you're about to make, but you ignore that uneasy feeling because it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. In solitude, you can't distract yourself from those feelings. You're forced to confront them, to sit with them, and to acknowledge what your intuition has been telling you all along. This self-awareness can be incredibly powerful because it gives you the clarity and courage to make necessary changes in your life. Solitude also enhances your ability to be present. In the quiet moments, you're not worrying about what other people think or trying to meet external expectations. You're simply being, and in that state of being, you can connect with your intuition on a deeper level. You start to notice the small signals your body and mind are sending you. You become more in tune with how different situations make you feel. And you start to trust those feelings as valuable guidance. As you spend more time alone and become more attuned to your intuition, you also develop a stronger sense of self. You begin to understand what truly resonates with you and what doesn't. You start to distinguish between decisions that are made out of fear or obligation and those that are aligned with your deeper purpose and desires. This alignment is crucial for living a fulfilling life because it means you're making choices based on your authentic self, not on external pressures or expectations. Learning to listen to your intuition also teaches you to embrace uncertainty. Intuition doesn't always give you a clear step-by-step plan. Sometimes it's just a feeling, a hunch that nudges you in a certain direction. This can feel uncertain or even risky, especially if you're used to having everything planned out. But the more you listen to your intuition in solitude, the more comfortable you become with that uncertainty. You start to realize that not everything needs to be perfectly logical or planned for it to work out. You trust that your inner guidance will lead you in the right direction, even if you can't see the whole path ahead. Solitude strengthens your connection to your intuition by giving you the time and space to listen, reflect, and trust yourself. It allows you to quiet the external noise, focus on your inner world, and make decisions that are aligned with your true desires and values. Intuition is a powerful tool that can guide you through life with greater clarity, confidence, and purpose, but it requires stillness to hear it. Solitude offers that stillness, enabling you to cultivate a deeper relationship with your inner voice and trust it to lead you toward a more authentic and fulfilling life. Solitude, while often seen as uncomfortable or even lonely, is a crucial space for emotional healing. In our daily lives, we are constantly bombarded by distractions, external pressures, and the demands of others, which often makes it difficult to fully process our emotions. Whether we're dealing with disappointment, heartache, frustration, or even joy, the pace of modern life doesn't always give us the time or space we need to work through what we're feeling. Solitude offers us a chance to step away from this noise and focus inward, allowing us to acknowledge, understand, and heal our emotional wounds in a deep and meaningful way. One of the first benefits of solitude is that it gives you the time to sit with your emotions rather than pushing them aside. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to distract ourselves from what we're feeling. We stay busy with work, social interactions, or entertainment, never truly confronting the emotions bubbling just beneath the surface. However, these feelings don't disappear simply because we ignore them. They linger, influencing our mood, behavior, and overall sense of well-being. When you allow yourself time alone, you create the space to fully experience your emotions, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable they may be. This is the first step toward emotional healing, acknowledging the hurt, pain, or confusion that exists within you. Once you've acknowledged your emotions, solitude gives you the opportunity to explore them without judgment or interruption. When you're constantly surrounded by others, there's often pressure to move on or put on a brave face, even when you're not ready. In solitude, you don't have to perform or hide your feelings. You can cry, reflect, or even just sit in silence with what you're experiencing. This process allows you to understand your emotions on a deeper level, why you're feeling what you're feeling, where the pain is coming from, and how it's affecting you. By giving yourself this space for emotional introspection, you're able to get to the root of your feelings, which is crucial for true healing. Emotional healing is not about quickly getting over something. It's about working through it in a way that allows you to move forward with peace and clarity. Solitude provides the time to do this essential work. It allows you to reflect on past experiences, relationships, or events that may have caused emotional pain. Maybe there's a lingering resentment or unresolved hurt that you haven't had the chance to fully process. In solitude, you can revisit these moments without the distraction of the outside world, giving yourself permission to feel whatever comes up. This reflection is critical because it allows you to identify patterns or triggers that may have gone unnoticed in the busyness of everyday life. In addition to helping you process past emotions, solitude also gives you the space to reconnect with yourself. When you're constantly interacting with others or fulfilling responsibilities, it's easy to lose touch with your own emotional needs. You may find yourself giving too much of your energy to others, neglecting your own well-being in the process. Solitude is a time to check in with yourself. How am I feeling? What do I need right now? It's an opportunity to prioritize self-care and ensure that you're tending to your own emotional health. This reconnection with yourself is essential for emotional healing because it reminds you that your feelings matter and that it's okay to take the time to nurture yourself. Solitude also helps you build emotional resilience. When you're alone, you're forced to rely on your own inner strength to process your feelings. There's no one else to lean on in that moment, which can be difficult, but it's also incredibly empowering. You learn that you have the capacity to handle your emotions, no matter how challenging they may be. This self-reliance builds emotional resilience, teaching you that you can face emotional pain and come out stronger on the other side. The more time you spend in solitude, working through your emotions, the more confident you become in your ability to navigate future emotional challenges. Another important aspect of emotional healing in solitude is the ability to forgive both others and yourself. Holding on to anger, resentment, or guilt can be incredibly damaging to your emotional health. However, in the chaos of daily life, it can be hard to find the time or headspace to truly forgive. In solitude, you have the time to reflect on the people or situations that have caused you pain, and you can work through the process of forgiveness. This doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior or forgetting what happened, but rather releasing the hold that these negative emotions have on you. Forgiveness is a key part of emotional healing because it allows you to let go of the past and move forward with a lighter heart. Self-forgiveness is equally important. Many of us carry guilt or regret over past mistakes or decisions. We may replay these moments in our minds, criticizing ourselves for what we did or didn't do. In solitude, you have the chance to confront these feelings head on. You can acknowledge your mistakes, learn from them, and then forgive yourself for being imperfect. This process of self-compassion is essential for emotional healing because it allows you to let go of the shame or guilt that may be holding you back, and it helps you embrace a healthier, more compassionate relationship with yourself. Solitude also allows you to cultivate emotional clarity. When you're constantly engaged with others or immersed in the distractions of life, it can be hard to understand what you're really feeling. You might confuse your emotions with the expectations or opinions of others, or you might not have the time to fully unpack complex feelings. But in solitude, without external influences, you can get clear on what's going on inside of you. You can separate your own feelings from the noise of the outside world, and you can begin to understand what's really driving your emotions. This clarity is crucial for healing because it allows you to address the true source of your emotional pain rather than just dealing with the surface level symptoms. Solitude gives you the space to embrace acceptance. Sometimes emotional healing isn't about fixing or changing something, but rather about accepting what is, whether it's the end of a relationship, the loss of an opportunity, or a difficult life transition. Some things can't be changed. Solitude allows you to sit with these realities, to grieve if necessary, and to ultimately accept them. This acceptance doesn't mean you're okay with what happened, but it does mean that you're no longer fighting against it. You're able to make peace with the situation and move forward with a sense of emotional closure. Solitude is a powerful tool for emotional healing. It provides the time and space to process your emotions, reconnect with yourself, build emotional resilience, and gain clarity. It allows you to work through past hurts, forgive, and ultimately find acceptance. Through this process, you're able to heal on a deeper level and move forward with a greater sense of peace, strength, and emotional well-being. In the end, solitude is not something to fear, but rather a space of immense power and potential. It offers a rare opportunity for self-reflection, personal growth, and emotional healing. By stepping away from the distractions and demands of the world, you can truly connect with yourself, listen to your intuition, and develop a deeper understanding of your emotions. Solitude allows you to reclaim your inner strength, trust your instincts, and heal from past wounds. It's in these quiet moments that you build resilience, find clarity, and grow into the best version of yourself. Ultimately, embracing solitude is about finding peace within, nurturing your spirit, and trusting that this time alone is exactly what you need to move forward with purpose, wisdom, and strength.